Number 5. In August of 2015, a collection of various sports cards were found in an abandoned warehouse in Detroit, estimated to be worth well over $1 million. The cards were manufactured by the company Topps and are believed to have been all printed between the late 1980s and early 1990s. They were discovered by a group of urban explorers who were wandering through the abandoned property, documenting its history. The cards were found on one of the upper levels of the warehouse and had already been strewn all across the floor and surrounding rooms, though most of the cards were still in reasonable condition and are estimated to be worth between $1 and $6 individually. The cards, however, don't technically belong to the individuals who discovered them, though. In fact, someone somewhere still owns this property, though it's clearly remained untouched for decades. At the moment, however, it seems as though the only people interested in the cards are those who venture to the building regularly, in search of rare and valuable cards to sell, with one man stating that reselling these exact cards has been his main source of income for quite some time. The cards are from multiple sports series that have been released by Topps, ranging all the way from Major League Baseball to NASCAR. In fact, many of the boxes contain complete sets of these series, some of which were never even removed from the protective backing on which they were printed. It's believed that the warehouse that they were found inside was originally used as a packaging plant, as the cards appear to have been printed though never transferred to official retail packaging. While the popularity of trading cards has certainly tapered off in recent years, this group of urban explorers as well as a cultish underground following of collectors is certainly expected to keep the fad alive for many years to come.
This is what we're waiting for. There's just a whole box. Look at these boxes. Look how thick these boxes are. Every single box that you see is absolutely full of cards. Every single box.
Number 4. In 2006, an elderly man found a winning lottery ticket in the trash, worth approximately $1 million. However, not long after he found it, another man filed a lawsuit against him, alleging that the ticket had been lost a few days prior. The finder, Edward St. John, then settled with the man, allowing him to receive $140,000 of the winnings, with Edward stating that he simply wanted to enjoy a portion of the winnings before he passed away, which he believed would likely happen fairly soon. Edward says that he truly didn't want to allow the man any of the winnings, as according to law, all of the prize money belonged to whoever possessed the physical lottery ticket, regardless of whether it was lost or not. However, Edward's attorney stated that the man could have easily kept the case in court so long that Edward would have likely passed away before he ever saw a single cent, so Edward agreed to split the profits. According to the man who lost the tickets, he'd entered a convenience store earlier that day and purchased an entire roll of Texas Hold'em scratch-off tickets, but didn't realize that one of the tickets was a winner, so he threw it away. It wasn't until Edward entered the store later that day that he sifted through the pile of discarded tickets and found that the man had made a critical mistake. Sadly for Edward, the deal that was reached in court only allows Edward to receive $43,000 yearly for the next 20 years, while the other man receives $7,000 a year for the next 20 years. According to the agreement, there was no option for a simple cash payout. Edward says that because of the ruling, he's being forced to move out of his current home, as his renting agency has certain income limits that he must meet, and due to this new yearly income, he will no longer be able to live there. Even worse is that after all of the court hearings, the man who originally lost the ticket then died of a heart attack, so he wasn't even able to receive his share of the earnings, meaning that the entire ordeal was essentially for nothing, other than a massive inconvenience for this poor elderly man. Number 3. In 1995, Nicolas Cage purchased a copy of the comic book Action Comics #1. According to a professional, this comic book is literally the most important comic book in existence, as it essentially introduced the world to its first superhero and launched an entire industry as a result. When Cage purchased the book in 1995, he placed it on display in his home, though when he came home one evening in 2000, he found that he had been robbed and the comic had been stolen. While this was certainly upsetting, Cage had the book insured and was promptly compensated for its value. Though some 11 years later, the book was actually found in a storage locker in California. Cage was then contacted and the book was returned to him, with the finder receiving a hefty reward from Cage as well as a portion of the profits when the book was resold at auction for $2.1 million. According to the vendor who originally sold the book to Cage, when it was purchased in 1995, it was worth substantially less than it is now, as only 6 are known to still be in existence. The exact amount of the book hasn't been disclosed, though it's assumed that the book was only worth a few $100,000 at the time. Fast forward to February of 2010, and the book had jumped in value all the way up to $1 million. And by the following month, the price had already skyrocketed to $1.5 million. If the book were valued today, as of recording this video in 2017, it would be worth $3.2 million. Number 2. During the peak of World War II, a woman known as Madame de Florian abandoned her apartment as she was being forced to flee the city. She never returned but did continue to pay her monthly rent until 2010, when she ultimately passed away at the age of 91. The apartment was then found to have been unopened and untouched for the last 70 years, with all of her personal items remaining exactly as she left them all this time. When investigators then showed up to Florian's home to sort through her belongings, they found that the apartment was in immaculate condition. And one small detail that I personally found absolutely fascinating is that all of the power in the home still worked as well, with not a single light bulb having blown after all this time. They simply flipped the switch and it was as if they were transported 70 years into the past. One of the most astonishing finds within the home was a painting by the well-known artist Giovanni Boldini, accompanied by a handwritten note from the artist certifying its authenticity. The painting had never been seen before and no one even knew of its existence. The subject of the painting was actually Miss Florian, who'd apparently paid Giovanni to paint her while wearing a pink satin evening gown. The painting was then publicized and placed up for auction with an asking price of just $250,000. I say just $250,000 because the painting then actually sold for over $2.1 million. This apartment remains one of the most incredible finds in recent France history, but who knows exactly how many abandoned apartments may still be out there, just waiting to be discovered. Number 1. An abstract work of art by Rufino Tamayo was discovered in a dumpster by a New York jogger one morning in 2003. While the woman said that she didn't fully understand the meaning behind the painting, she saw that someone had clearly put a lot of effort into it, and she simply couldn't leave it in the trash. The woman says that she then spent the next 4 years trying to figure out who the painting was created by and what exactly it meant. These questions went largely unanswered until 2007, when she noticed the painting being mentioned on an antique website, with an article detailing that the painting had been stolen in 1989, with its current whereabouts being unknown. The official story behind the painting is that it was painted in 1970 by world-renowned artist Rufino Tamayo. The painting was then sold at auction in 1977 and was purchased by a collector for $55,000 as a gift for his wife. The couple then kept the painting for over a decade, though when they decided to move homes, the painting was stolen from their storage unit, never to be seen again. After the painting was found, the woman then got in touch with the original owner who decided to simply sell it. The woman was then given a $15,000 reward for the painting as well as a small percentage of the profits when it sold at auction for over $1 million.
Elizabeth Gibson here in her New York City neighborhood, and ta-da! Art! No, not really. That's a hydrant. This is the spot, however, where Ms. Gibson found this painting 4 years ago sitting in a pile of garbage. Turns out it isn't garbage. It's actually a 1970 painting stolen 20 years ago, and it's worth a lot of money. Who knew?
I know nothing about modern art. You need a sleek, spacious, all black or all white New York apartment to set it off, to have it not look silly. I had none of those things. I could not explain why I would take it, particularly since I was trying to declutter.
Well, Ms. Gibson now getting her wish. She'll be decluttering the painting, as she says, next month as it goes up for auction. Art dealers speculating bidding could reach $1 million. Oof, not bad for trash.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.